Hey everybody, Zachary Jeans here. Let's keep walking through the Bible. So today is day 117, and we are in John chapter 13. And I think we're going to take it through verse 30. This is going to be Jesus in the upper room, the little dinner there that they had, the Passover, before he went ahead and allowed himself to be arrested and everything else that followed. So we got a story of love and betrayal. Love and betrayal. So anyway, yeah, I hope you're doing well. Thank you, whoever you are who subscribed to the YouTube channel. We have 29 subscribers, and I know that only about 11 of those have to do with the Bible, because I had, like, from other things I used to do on YouTube, there's probably 20-ish, maybe 18 subscribers already. So, but whoever you are, thank you. And if you're watching this on another platform, yeah, if you head on over to YouTube, I'll leave a link for the YouTube channel. I appreciate it. But, you know, if you watch it on Facebook, great. If you watch it on YouTube, great. But hit the like and the little bell there, and that helps out. So, and if you're on Facebook, I don't know what your situation is, but I do appreciate every now and then if you share it. It helps sort of tell the algorithm that this stuff shouldn't just stay closed into a handful of people who see it every day. It'll even open it up to other people on my own channel. So I do appreciate that. So anyway, to be continued on all that stuff, let's get into the word. Lord, I love you. God, thanks for your word. God, this world is full of attacks and enemies and incredible moments of you shining through. God, and I just read about people who trying to do something good and something evil happens to them, and it makes me go, God, can't wait for you to come back. And at the same time, I know that you're staying your hand from returning, because I know that you love. And even through all this horrible brokenness in this world, God, you're reaching out your hand a little bit farther, a little bit longer. God, I do pray for healing. I do pray for another season of grace and healing in this world. I know eventually, Lord, you're going to wrap things up. But in the short term, God, thank you. God, I do pray for healing. I do pray for peace in Jerusalem. I do pray for peace in our country. God, I pray for those that are fighting darkness, God, to be victorious. God, help us be love and light and truth in this world. Lord, thanks for your word. Please speak to us. Please speak to us. Please help us share your word. In your name I pray, Jesus. Amen. All right. Okay, so John chapter 13, verse 1. Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come to depart out of this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. During supper, when the devil had already put it into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going back to God, rose from supper. He laid aside his outer garments, and taking a towel, tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet, and to wipe them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Lord, Simon Peter said, do you wash my feet? Jesus answered him, what I'm doing you don't understand now, but afterward you will understand. Peter said to him, you should never wash my feet. Jesus answered him, if I don't wash your feet, you have no share with me. Wow. So Simon Peter said to him, "Well, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head." Jesus said to him, "The one who is bathed does not need to wash except for his feet, but is completely clean. And you are clean, but not every one of you." For he knew who was to betray him. That's why he said, "Not all of you are clean." When he had washed their feet and put on his outer garments, resumed his place at the table, he said to them, "Do you understand what I've done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you are right, for so I am. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should also do just as I have done to you. Truly, truly, I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. I'm not speaking of all of you. I know whom I have chosen, but the scripture will be fulfilled. He who ate my bread has lifted his heel against me. I'm telling you this now, before it takes place, that when it does take place, you may believe that I am he. Truly, truly, I say to you, whoever receives the one I send receives me, and whoever receives me receives the one who sent me." It's a fairly good chunk there. Normally I would maybe stop and break it up, but I think the context of getting it all in, and now let's talk about it a little bit. So we won't go verse by verse, obviously, but incredibly important point. Incredibly important point. Jesus is outlining that there are those who are going to follow him and be sent by him, and they're going to have certain characteristics. And there are people who are not sent by him, and actually not everybody, in fact, some are going to betray him. Overarching point to this, okay? And he's going to get into that. In short, doing the job of the person that greets people into a home to wash their feet is done by the lowest level servant, or a low level servant, at least in the culture. And here you have the rabbi. Any rabbi who has followers, this would not be the rabbi's job, right? And how much more so for the one, as John points out, who has made it abundantly clear that he's the one sent from God, the Father. Okay? And here we have God in the flesh starting the meal of the Passover, and then in the middle of it somewhere, stopping and getting up and to teach them a lesson, shows them what real leadership, what real servant leadership looks like. Willing to do the lowliest of tasks. And he does it to show them that they shouldn't be offended. They shouldn't be offended by doing the ditch digging. That they shouldn't be offended by being the one to rub the dirt off somebody's feet that has been walking around in an unclean place, right? They did not have great plumbing back then. There wasn't really plumbing. And there's a lot of dirty animals around. And Jesus is willing to take that upon himself. He's willing to do that work and also to wear it on himself, because he wrapped the towel around him and then wore it on himself. He took their dirt and put it on himself to show them that he's taking their dirt onto him. And then there's the whole back and forth with Peter. We don't want to offend Jesus. So Peter doesn't want to offend Jesus. People make a lot out of it. But Peter, for all of the faults that people point out about him, he is all or nothing. And he tries as hard as he can. And he fails. But he repents. Even here in this short little exchange, the Apostle Peter, he's like, no, Lord, you can't wash my feet. And the Lord's like, well, then you aren't a part of me. He's like, whoa, everything, right? And he's like, too much, Peter, too much. Just this much. You know, who do the people say I am? Well, some say Elijah, some say a prophet, some say... And Peter's like, you're the Son of God. You're the Christ. A little bit later, Jesus telling him he's going to go to the cross. And Peter's like, Lord, this shall never happen to you. What does Jesus say to him? Get behind me, Satan. Peter repents, right? Keeps following. Doesn't say that anymore. But lo and behold, Peter, all or nothing, right? So don't beat Peter up. Peter loves the Lord. It is on that rock that he builds his church, that faith, right? And, but he needs Peter to understand. He needs all of them to understand. It doesn't look like you think it looks like. Your value is independent of what other people say about you. You don't feel that way. And the value of Jesus is independent of what people or even his kids say about him. His followers, right? His brothers and sisters. All the ways we relate to the Christ, right? Why is that so? It's so because, and this is why you can walk in this world and not react to every single thing, every attack that happens, whether it's on your church, whether it's on something you love, your patriotism, your cause, whatever it is. Because the inherent value of something isn't dependent on whether other people see value in it. If it has value in and of itself. I have a great cat. Her name is Charlotte. And Charlotte's beautiful, beautiful cat. But Charlotte ain't gonna live forever. I love her. I think she's great. So does my family. There are very few people outside of my immediate family that know about her. My mom, some of my in-laws and whatnot, right? Occasionally somebody from Facebook who sees a picture. But I'm pretty sure that most people don't even think about my cat. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. She's a great cat. And I'm telling you all that, but I'm just identifying something that's there. But that isn't what gives her her beauty, her innate just greatness and cuteness and loveliness. She is. Now Charlotte's not going to live forever. Like I said, Charlotte's going to pass away. And then someday she'll be but a memory. And only a memory to those who really were close to her, because everybody else won't think about Charlotte. And slowly, as it were, compared to her life, the people who loved her and knew her will pass away. And then no one will remember her. It is not dependent upon anyone remembering her that gives her life and her existence value. My neighbors don't know my cat. But let's pretend that they did. And if they talk trash about my cat, and that made me mad, it shouldn't. Because they don't know my cat. And they might be saying bad things about my cat, not because they actually care or think anything of my cat, but because they want to get a reaction out of me, right? It doesn't change the inherent value of her life. And in fact, she's oblivious to their comments. She lives in the freedom of not caring or knowing what they have to say. So when it comes to your faith and it comes to people who betray you, before we look at this last section, people who betray the faith or betray you within a faith context, or betray you at work, or people who say things that you think are a betrayal to your patriotism or your country. There is a righteous sensibility of right and wrong. But you need to rest in peace that it does not change the inherent value of the thing itself, or the person, or your own life. And Jesus, despite being grieved to a degree about Judas and being appreciative of Peter's enthusiasm, did either person's praise or betrayal change his inherent value? Not one bit. Did it take him away from his mission? No. No, it didn't. So, after saying these things, Jesus was troubled in his spirit and testified, "Truly, truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me." Then disciples looked at one another, uncertain of whom he spoke. One of his disciples, whom Jesus loved, cough, cough, John, who wrote the gospel, was reclining at table close to Jesus. So Simon Peter motioned to him to ask Jesus of whom he was speaking. So that disciple, leaning back against Jesus, said to him, "Lord, who is it?" Jesus answered, "It's he to whom I will give this morsel of bread when I have dipped it." So when he had dipped the morsel of bread and gave it to Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, then after he had taken the morsel, Satan entered into him. Jesus said to him, "What you're going to do it quickly." No one at the table knew why he'd said this to him. Some thought that he was telling him, because he had the money bag, buy what we need for the feast, or that he should give something to the poor. So, after receiving the morsel of bread, he immediately went out, and it was night. Wow. Not just your average demonic possession, right? And do we blame Satan or Judas for their action? No, both. Just like we have a handshake with the Lord, and we have choice, and he has empowerment and providence, people have a handshake with Satan and his servants. They have choice, they have empowerments. Careful who you deal with, right? Be careful who you do deals with. Now, it's amazing that all these years later, John was written years, as far as we understand. John was written decades after the Gospels of Luke and Matthew and Mark. It was the last gospel. And so the story of Jesus had been going around for many, many years, and the church had been growing. And John, who had been telling these stories, had it written down. And this insight into the last night, right? Super big. And he reveals, he knew. Wonder how long he held on to that. It's a hard thing to hold, right? Maybe he told, the church of Ephesus, where he preached for a long time, this story and eventually got wrote down. Maybe he kept it. Maybe it was just, he did not think highly of, obviously, of Judas. He's the one who mentions that Judas used to steal from the church, from the ministry. And he makes sure that people understand which Judas it is. It's the son of Simon Iscariot. But maybe he held on to this for a bit. We don't know. But we do know that this little story doesn't appear in any of the other Gospels. So it leads me to believe that even Luke, right, who's the utmost historian and wrote the book of Acts and rolled around with Paul and got all the details and interviewed everyone, this story does not end up in Luke's Gospel. It's like John saved it. Jesus and his value and what he is not defined whether people are over exuberant, wash my head and my hands. Don't wash me. Oh wait, I don't want to be out of your club. Wash me. And then you have Judas stealing money on the side and letting Satan possess him to turn him over to the religious elite there. And but in either case, Jesus, his value is, period. So, who is he to you? Who has he been to you? Honestly, gut check. Is he somebody that you've been stealing from? And I'm not talking about giving to the church. I mean, just in your own life. Have you been skimming from the Lord in some way that you understand? I don't. Have you betrayed him in some way? Well, thank God that there is a God who loves you, and he's here to help you turn back to him. Okay? He's here to take the dirt, your sin, off your feet, your daily walking. He'll wear it on himself. That's how good of a God he is. Or are you a person that's like, hears about something to do, and you're like, first to jump up and go, nope, not gonna do it. I'm bearing the flag of Jesus. And then Jesus is like, whoa, slow down, Turbo. That's not what I'm saying here. I'm saying this other thing. Oh, whoa. Then I want to do everything on that. Wave your flag over there. Right? Running for Jesus. And he's like, no, slow down, Turbo. Easy, Tiger. All you need is to walk with me. Be humble, walk with me, right? So, we all get dirt in our feet. Tell them about your dirt. Let them take it. Let them take it. And keep walking. We'll have more dirt on our feet tomorrow. Okay? Keep walking. Until next time, God bless. Goodbye.